Let's take a look at what Moon
The
got
Diddy
here.
trial is everything wrong with society. Diddy walking almost completely unscathed tells you everything,
Yeah.
showing so clearly that we're now in a world where with enough money, power, and connections, you can just do whatever you want,
Money,
no matter
money.
the consequences. As Diddy is just
Money.
one of many.
Well, I mean, it's
high-up
also the
elites
fact
can
that
walk
I think the feds also kind of, I don't know why they did the way they did it. Right? They could have easily tied. Right? They could have tied the loose ends, but they didn't. Instead, they went out and they went in this weird roundabout way of trying to like say that he was racketeering and shit like that. Right? And right, I think the juries also thought that there probably wasn't fucking, because some of it was consensual, right? Some of these people were doing it consensually. So it's hard to, right, put all that together when, right, it's all famous people doing weird fucking kinky shit, right?
away from courtrooms without ever facing real justice, which is such a huge surprise. But the Diddy verdict is more outrageous than most. This isn't just like O.J. Simpson, as Diddy is now acquitted of the most serious charges despite overwhelming evidence of all of his evil activities, let alone all the other stuff that he's been accused of for the last few decades. Right. His actions were so bad and horrific that even one of his biggest lawyers quit as he just couldn't serve him. That was an unprecedented move at this echelon of the legal industry. And yet this whole time, Diddy just knew that he was too powerful to ever be touched. Legally, that is. And in court, he always just seems so relaxed.
Also, when they did the Kid Cudi thing, yeah, that they were like, oh yeah, Diddy might have done it, but we don't know. It's like, why would you do that?
Time, as he knew
because
the game
he went
was
into
rigged to
my
begin
house
with.
and
as people with his power,
he was there,
money,
and
maybe even alleged blackmail are always above the law. One law for thee, another for me. And at this point with the recent verdict, it's expected that he'll just walk away free. Whether that be because the judges were in the free cuffs or they were caught with baby oil, who even knows at this point. When the verdict was announced, Diddy's family and his lawyers were quick to celebrate. Despite facing up to 20 years in prison, acquittal on the trafficking and racketeering charges was more than they could ever hope for. Now, it was always going to be tricky for the government to prove their case completely. Racketeering charges, which were originally designed to take down the mafia, are notoriously hard to make stick. While unsuited for dealing with individual criminals, they're meant to take down whole enterprises and cartels. To prove them, the government needed to show two things. Firstly, that there were at least 2 cases of specific federal crimes committed within a 10-year period. Then they needed to make a case that they happened within the context of a larger criminal conspiracy, that Diddy was the mastermind of a huge larger organization. Specifically, they tried to pin both human trafficking on him. They needed to show through the testimony of Casey Ventura and the other key witness Jane that this had occurred, but the defense sabotaged it. While we'll never know exactly why the jury acquitted, it's likely got lots to do with how they poked holes in their testimony. The prosecution had what people have called
from when they were doing the court trial, there was a lot of some of the lawyers were saying that it had to do with probably a couple of jurors, possibly.
Meticulous, almost academic
because usually
they showed clear cases where they alleged
usually
this happened, and then they
I would have thought that they would have been done deliberating like the first day, but no, they took like what 4 days about. So it's like yeah, so they must have been doing like a whole back and forth.
Detail. But most importantly, they put a lot of pressure on the jury to match up this evidence with the idea of Diddy as a criminal mastermind, rather than just as a powerful but flawed individual. This was where they stumbled, and where Diddy's defense team struck their blow. The legal team did everything they could to sabotage this case, and to do this, they didn't deny lots of Diddy's other crimes, the ones he wasn't on trial for in federal court. They accepted the idea that he was actually predatory, that he was abusive, that he had a coercive, dominating relationship with these women, and also with the other people in his orbit, clearly showing that this guy is definitely a bad person. But while Diddy certainly held a lot of control over his world, they casually threw out the idea that he was running some kind of criminal enterprise. A lot of this came down to texts they dug up between Diddy and other key witnesses. They showed Casey telling Diddy that I'm always ready to freak off lol. In another text after a party, she told Diddy, yeah, I like those times. I love when we make love after. The last time was so good. The prosecution was hoping that the jury would see this as part of the...
Exactly. When you have that, It's like, yeah, that's basically, you're consenting, right? But then you go to court and you're all like, oh, he abused me and did this and did that. Oh, but I love you. It's like, what the fuck? That's shady. Yeah, that's shady as fuck.
Coercive relationship. They thought they would read between the lines and see them as the words of someone who was afraid of being negative about their experiences. It was clearly too much pressure to put on them. Meanwhile, the defense's story that this was all just part of Diddy's private life was a lot easier to swallow,
this is
no matter how
right. This is
crazy
the issue
reality.
with famous people. They get so borderline close to doing big illegal activity. It's hard to get them. Because it's like half of them are doing it consensually, and then half of them get into like abusive relationships. It's just like, Jesus, what the fuck is happening?
Of this was. They even delivered this so much more casually, talking to the jury as if they were having a conversation instead of a trial. Ironically, they even borrowed a trick from the mafia. Diddy was made to look as old and grey as possible sitting in the courtroom, dressed up like a man in his 70s rather than his 50s. All while he was eerily calm, as if he wasn't facing decades in prison. This was all part of a campaign to sow doubt in this criminal mastermind idea. The prosecution's analytic attacks didn't stand up to this more emotional case made by the defense team. The government coincidentally overreached, and they paid a huge price, as now Diddy can easily walk away with just a few years, even just a few months at this point.
Also, the fact that they raided, right? It's so weird that they raided his home and everything, right? I mean, he did go on camera and saying all that thing, right? All of that stuff that came after the video popping up of Cassie, right, and him doing the fucked up thing. So it's like, yeah, and then he dropped that fucking the sorry video, right? Basically taking accountability for that. And it's like, that's when shit hit the fence, right? So it's like, why did they, like, they didn't need to go full force federal, so it made no sense, right? It just, right, to go all, I mean, because it went because it probably went over state lines, most likely. That's usually, if it's just if it's just a case of something like that, yeah, I think the feds have to step in, no matter what. Because you're crossing state lines, and you might be doing like
about the American.
Oh yeah, he also was a flight risk too, because he might have gone to like overseas and shit. So it's like a
injustice system.
It was all bad news.
Diddy's
it didn't
money
look
and power
good
gave
at
him
all.
The resources to employ a massive, well-funded, intelligent defense. These teams have deep connections with the judges and every aspect of the legal industry. They can easily pull the strings and are often friends with the people they're dealing with. No public defender could have towed the line that they towed. Regular people accused with much less supporting.
Yeah, exactly.
Given
right. If someone who was accused of this and and not Diddy, they'd get the fucking book thrown at them, man. Like, what the fuck? Literally.
Sort of thing. Meanwhile, Diddy's millions.
Diddy got so fucking lucky because he's actually he's an actual famous.
But there was so much evidence that painted Diddy in such a bad light. The raids and what they found, the mountains of substances, baby oil, firearms, the months of witness testimony, the actual video evidence of the abuse. It all meant next to nothing in the face of just a well-funded defense that knew exactly where to put the pressure. And Diddy being found not guilty of racketeering also set a very scary legal precedent. That now it's going to make it so
well, I mean, it's because racketeering is so hard. Right? I mean, I guess they could have done. Right? I feel like they could have gotten him on racketeering because he was using some of his businesses to facilitate paying for probably prostitutes at one point. Paying his bodyguards to do. Well, what was that? He made his bodyguard give a light detector test to one witness, I guess. So it's like he was using his bodyguards to pressure people, and also the fact that I guess people felt pressured because of just who Diddy was too. So you get into those complications of people getting into their own heads as well. So it's like, yeah, I mean, humans, man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to tell you. Fucking depraved people, I guess.
To be ever charged with racketeering, We see this time and time again almost every year at this point, that the elites work together in a club and you're not in it.
Yeah.
Mr. Jeff also got the same treatment. Through his ties to presidents, royalty and top executives, and possibly even Mossad, he avoided real punishment for years despite multiple accusers and evidence. His 2008 plea deal was notoriously lenient. He was just given a 13-month sentence and allowed to leave jail during the day with no real accountability.
And he was on
trafficking
suicide
minors.
watch.
And Diddy's been accused of all sorts of similar things, taking people out, a criminal enterprise,
And he still got
manipulating the entire
under
music
suicide
industry,
watch.
and blackmail. And while the Diddy case isn't fully over, the partial acquittal on racketeering and trafficking fits a similar theme. The biggest charges often don't stick when the defendant is rich and connected. You can operate in plain sight for years.
Yeah, I mean, just look at right. There's so many fucking
that we just have
right.
no
There's so
idea
many
about.
people who
As
haven't
these
gotten
massive
tagged
public
for
cases
shit they
are some
should
of
have
the
been
only
tagged
rare
for,
times
especially
where
when
the
it
public can
comes to
actually
like the
see
Epstein
it.
stuff.
Only
and,
coming about when it's
right,
just
some of the
too
government,
obvious for the entire world
government
to ignore.
stuff.
But more often
It's
than
like,
not,
dude,
it's
what the
completely
fuck?
covered up. Diddy had all sorts of celebrities coming out, all the proof of the freak-off parties, the multiple civil suits, video leaks, and yet he still gets away with
It's basically
almost
the
all of
government's
this.
like,
And now with Diddy
oh yeah,
likely
we can
walking
blame
free,
you, but you
lots of
can't blame
celebrities
us.
will have to
Type
be
of thing.
looking over their shoulders.
Like, what the
after
fuck,
this.
dude? You
I
fucked
know
up.
if he walks,
You should have
I'm
done
gonna be
this
target
properly.
number one,
What are
which
you
is
talking
fine.
about?
I'm used to that.
You
know, it's kinda
blamed
exciting
someone
to me.
else,
Is
yet
that
you
exciting? Is
have
that
yourself to
I
blame.
mean,
Oh
all
my.
the celebrities involved, all the people in the industry like Kid Cudi, and all those who tried to take Diddy down will now face huge consequences of going against someone at this elite level in society, and the repercussions will be completely hidden away. But after all of this disturbing stuff, even having sleepovers with a young Justin Bieber and hosting his own Love Island where he took people off the radar.
Yeah, I
all
thought.
of this
Yeah,
can be done.
exactly. I thought we were gonna get like information on more of this stuff, but no, we only got information on like a lot of the I guess the prostitutes he was paying during that whole time, and the Punisher and like some of those people. So it's like.
Done with just enough money, and now Diddy
Yeah,
has
we were not
absolutely
gonna.
no
Yeah,
legal
it
fear.
was such
He's
a.
just proven
Yeah,
what
it
we
was
all know,
pretty
that
small
all of
in
this
scope
goes
at
on
what
behind
they
the
were
closed
going
doors
after.
of the elites for decades,
If you
and with
really
enough
think about
influence,
it.
laws and morals just don't apply to them.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It like that whole situation, right? That whole timeline of everything. It was in the events of, right. I not even when what's it? Just right. They didn't go over the Justin Bieber stuff, right? They went over like the timeline of what 2018, 2070, right? So some very recent. They didn't go back in the way past. So yeah, they closed it off to they scoped it off to that section of time. So it's like, ugh, man. Yeah, so much, right? How much other shit has he gotten away with, especially when slanging drugs and shit, right? Also, I think he also had some unregistered firearms too. So it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck is happening? Anyways, yeah, that's the P Diddy stuff. But I mean, look, that's the justice system. Yeah, and it is functioning as intended. Right? The justice system is not there to look for winners and losers. It's to stop people from doing criminal acts. Right? It's to immediately eliminate it. Because if you don't and you keep harming people after that, you're gonna have an issue, right, with the court. You don't want to keep going back to court, right? You don't want to keep having issues, because then it's gonna get real fucking bad. Yeah, there you have it. Especially how high profile Diddy is too, right? It's just the name of the game. Your reputation is your identity. Good luck.